Operation Midnight Hammer. This was to be the final blow of the joint American-Israeli campaign to severely degrade or destroy the nascent nuclear facilities of Iran. It has been an extremely systematic campaign. The whole story, as we know, starts from 7th of October 2023 when Hamas struck and killed 1,700 Israeli citizens, innocent, murdered 1,700 Israeli citizens. In a very systematic and thorough manner, Israel first destroyed the Hamas, then it turned on and destroyed the Hezbollah, and then with the help of the United States, it severely degraded the Houthis. These are the three arms of the Iranian octopus. Having taken out the three arms, Israel now set its target on the head, that is, the head of the octopus, or Iran per se. The simple fact is, from 1992 onwards, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been warning the world about Iran's lurch towards the nuclear capability, and it is just a week away, a couple of weeks away. That is what has been said. But now they have hit this as hard as they possibly could in a very well coordinated joint operations that has been very clear-headed in its inception and in its conduct, right? So let's go to the final phases of this operation. Donald Trump gave 60 days to Iran to negotiate. The talks were still on. 61st day, Israel started the attack on Iran, right? 13th of June, Friday. Unlucky day, lucky for some. 200 Israeli fighters gained complete air superiority by destroying the radars and air defense systems in western Iran. Decapacitate the Iranian leadership. 20 Iranian generals of the army, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, are killed and eliminated. They attack Natanz, they attack Isfahan, they attack other Iranian nuclear facilities. They also then, next day, they go on to extend the war. They attack the surface-to-surface missile launchers. They claim to have destroyed about 1/3 of them, over 225. Then they also repeated attacks on the nuclear facilities, and they hit the energy storage sites which store for domestic production. They did not so target Iranian oil exports, because that would have induced Iran to target the oil exports of the Middle East per se. But they focused on the domestic capability so that it would hurt the local people and incite them to possibly overthrow their regime as Israel had hoped. So the campaign from the Israeli rhetoric now had two major components: one to destroy the nuclear facility, the other to carry out regime change. As Richard Haas said, regime change, can be a wish. It cannot be a strategy, because for regime change you would have to put boots on the ground. Nobody, neither Israel nor the United States, is prepared to put boots on the ground. It has been designed as an entirely air power, missile power driven campaign, standoff, non-contact warfare that may suffice to destroy or disable the Iranian nuclear capability, but there is no way that without a ground operation you can ensure regime change. The Israeli Ayatollah Khamenei has already designated 3 successors. How do we ensure that their successors are not even more rabidly radical? Regime change has its pitfalls. But now let us come back to the component which was the real aim. Both Israel and America have now clarified that their real aim was not at all or not so much regime change, which could be incidental to the weakening of the Iranian regime, but it was to destroy the nuclear facility, the nuclear capability of Iran, right? For that, Israel had gained complete air superiority over the whole of Iran and thereby set the stage for Operation Midnight Hammer. It was launched on this weekend, on Friday night, right? The American B-52 bombers. 7 of them took off from continental United States, flew for 18 hours non-stop to reach Iran. As part of deception, Donald Trump had said he needed 2 weeks to come to a decision, right? But the decision had already been taken. As Seymour Hersh pointed out, as Colonel McGregor clearly pointed out, the decision had been taken to go over the weekend on Saturday, Sunday, right? They had deception routing in the opposite direction over the Pacific. 7 B-52 bombers took off in that direction and 7 took off in the western direction towards Iran. They were joined by a total of 125 American aircraft, to include F-22 Raptor, F-35 Lightning stealth fighters, which did a fighter sweep ahead of the bombers, the strategic bombers, to clear the airspace totally and to tackle any possible air surface to air missile sites that were left functional, right? And in this they were totally successful. Not one shot was fired against the B-2 bomber armada of 7 bombers, and not one Iranian aircraft took off to intercept them. It is quite obvious they did not even see them because of their stealth capability. The Iranian radars, most of which had been knocked down, most of the air capability had been taken out, air defense capability had been taken out by the Iranians, by the Israelis, and the skies were totally open. The B-2 stealth bombers, strategic bombers, were carrying 2 GBU-57 deep penetration massive ordnance bombs, the mother of all bombs as it is euphemistically called, 30,000 pounds or 16,600 kilograms in weight. Each B-2 bomber is configured to carry 2 of these. 7 of them meant 14 of these were carried. Currently, they hit American submarine, fired off 12 Tomahawk cruise missiles. It is believed that these missiles engaged the Iranian nuclear facilities at Natanz and Isfahan, while the B-2 bombers seem to have gone hell-bent for leather for Fodrou. This is the deepest underground facility, 200 feet down under a hill, and this is the main nuclear enrichment facility of Iran. Israel did not have the capability to destroy this by itself. Israel did lack the capability to destroy this. This entire air armada of 125 aircraft, to include the stealth fighters, the KC-135 tankers, which were refueling all these aircraft all the way. They were over Iran for 25 minutes, in which they hit the opening sites and the center of this facility with multiple strikes of the GBU-57 deep penetrator bunker busting bombs. The Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States has given an exhaustive briefing, very detailed briefing on a blow-by-blow account of this campaign, this final strike of the joint Israeli-American campaign. Of course, they clarified that the final blow was American planned, led and executed. No other country had anything to do with it, except that, of course, Israel had very specifically set the stage for it by defanging or putting down Iranian air defenses and leaving them defenseless in the face of this massive strike. Iran has been struck. Has the nuclear capability been severely damaged or destroyed? We do not know. We have to await bomb damage assessment report, which will take some time to collate all sources from the satellites, from various other electronic sensors, etc., and also eavesdropping onto Iranian communication. So that takes time, but for the time being, the Americans feel that it has been severely degraded, that Iran's nuclear program has been put down. If it has been just damaged or destroyed is a crucial question, because if it is damaged, it can be revived, and maybe they will get the help from the Chinese, from other sources, Russians, to revive this nuclear capability, necessitating further strikes in the years ahead. What will Iran do in retaliation? That is the million-dollar question. Iran has already retaliated. Iran has already struck Israel with the hypersonic ballistic missiles, causing fairly extensive damage to civilian infrastructure in Haifa, in Tel Aviv, outskirts of Tel Aviv, and also in Jerusalem. But Iran had been threatening to widen the conflict. Widen the conflict by attacking American ships, warships, and facilities in the Gulf, bases in the Gulf. These are the prime set of targets. They had also threatened that they would mine the Gulf of Hormuz, that they would attack oil facilities in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries to push the price of oil through the roof. It has already gone up 17% to $75 a barrel. It's likely to have reached $100 a barrel and could cross and possibly go higher if the conflict persists. So what will Iran do? I've given the matrix of options. I think to start with, it has just hit Israel. Is it willing to take the off-ramp? Will the Iranian regime be smart enough to go in for regime survival and to call off this whole business right now and not escalate further? Because it knows the more the war lasts, the more it will suffer. And it could almost be destroyed. All air cover is gone. America has said, this is all that we wanted to do. We have struck the final blow of the joint Israel-American campaign, and Operation Midnight Hammer, which came at 2 in the morning local time in Iran, they claim to have severely degraded or damaged the Iranian nuclear facilities. The problem is, and there is a severe problem, Israel had decapacitated the top Iranian leadership. Apart from Ayatollah Khamenei, 20 Iranian generals, his closest advisors of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, have been killed, assassinated. And decision making in Iran seems to be in fair shambles. Will the decision making shift down to the lower levels? And the lower levels are hotheads. I would have reckoned that if decision making capability had not been decapacitated, then possibly Iran would have chosen to de-escalate. The logical thing was to de-escalate, minimize damage to itself, ensure regime survival. And it can live to fight another day, it can prepare, rebuild its deterrence, and then come back again a few years down the line. Because for the time being, the Americans, the Israelis have said, with the attack on Fordow, we have achieved our aim. They have given an off-ramp to to Iran. Iran hasn't taken it, it has hit back at Israel. The fact that it has not escalated further, stuck to the ongoing list of targets, it's not escalated horizontally, it was only hitting back at Israel. Is that a message to the United States that we don't want to mess with you, at least for now? Unfortunately, if the command and control is lost, if junior IRGC commanders, hotheads take over, then all bets are off. It could be an open-ended war. United States in the briefing clearly mentioned, we are not looking for regime change, we are not looking for an open-ended war, we want to end it. We have achieved our aims, and it would be wise for Iran not to escalate, for Iran not to target the Americans. But then, like I said, if you have decapacitated the decision-making capability so thoroughly that power has slipped from the hands of the Ayatollah and gone to the lower IRGC commanders, then the world is in for trouble. Then we could have an open-ended conflict. There is also, for the time being, there is total unanimity in Israel. For the time being, there is total unanimity in the United States. So, in analyzing Iranian matrix of response options, you have to look at 3 factors. One is residual Iranian capability, which means how many ballistic missiles do they have left. They have lost their air defense entirely. They are at the mercy of the Israeli Air Force and the United States Air Force and the naval assets, naval warfare assets, air assets from the aircraft carriers. But the fact of the matter is that they can strike back with ballistic missiles. Number two, they have struck back with ballistic missiles, but they have confined their attacks to the existing profiles of hitting only Iran targets in Israel. So far, we have not seen horizontal escalation, which is most dangerous and which could lead to an open-ended conflict. So, capacity. Iran has a total of about 4,000 missiles, ballistic missiles. By some estimates, put it as high as 10 to 20,000. Even 4,000 missiles is quite a formidable capability. So far, Iran has fired about 480 missiles and about 1,000 plus drones. That means it has residual capability. Some people estimate it could keep firing like at this rate for about 6 months. Will this extend to that level, or will Iran take an off-ramp? In last year, when there was escalation in April and October, we found Iran's response was very rational. It was rational because they were trying to not escalate beyond a point. So they had hit back, but they had managed the escalation very well. Will they be able to manage the escalation this time around also? Will Iran be able to exercise escalation control? Like I said, the danger is that the leadership is now very diffused, and if it is left to the local Iranian junior commanders and hotheads, then all bets are off. We are living through very dangerous times. What will Russia, Iran, Turkey do? What will the Muslim Ummah do? So far, it has done sweet Fanny Adams, nothing. On the contrary, the Sunni countries in Saudi Arabia, the Gulf, have expressed happiness that Iran has been hit. Pakistan, at one stage, the IRGC was claiming that Pakistan has promised to use its nuclear Islamic bomb in case Israel fires a nuke onto Iran. That was denied fervently the very next day by a very scared bunch of Pakistani politicians. And then Asif Munir got the famous lunch invitation to the White House. Whether the Reut Act was read out to him or whether he was co-opted to join the war against Iran, to destabilize Iran from the Pakistani flank by operations in Sistan, Baluchistan, part of Sunni Baluchistan, part of Iran, remains to be seen. But Donald Trump did seem to go overboard with I love Pakistan, gushy, mushy language, which was, we thought, not really thought through because of the negative impact it can have on India-America relations, people-to-people relations. Asim Munir is the sole architect of Pahalgam. He is the mass murderer-in-chief of Pahalgam. He fought a war with us for about 4 days. And for him to be feted and dined and wined in Washington at this stage sent some very bad optical signals to the people and to the government of India. I hope we will be able to recover from this setback, but we are now living through extremely dangerous times. The coming week will be fateful. China and Russia will not intervene directly, but they could very well provide weapons, missiles, surface-to-air S-400 coverage Russia could provide to Iran. Just like America and NATO have been providing weapons to Ukraine, Russia could well aim at prolonging this conflict by supplying weapons. So could China. Already 3 to 4 huge Chinese cargo planes have landed in Iran and in Lebanon. With what cargo, we do not know. Another aspect could be that though China is in serious disarray, 20 top generals have been fired or killed or tortured to death. 2 chairmen, half the military commission of China, Central Military Commission, people have been sacked. 3 defense ministers have been sacked. There is turmoil. There is even rumors that Xi Jinping is not too well. Hu Jintao is regaining command and control. There are n number of reports of disarray in China. So is China in any position to stage a diversion in Taiwan? One way to help Iran indirectly is to open other fronts from United States, and draw away American military power from Iran. China or Russia are in no position to intervene in the Gulf physically. I mean, at best, he could send some aircraft to Syria and from there try and influence events, but there will be too little, too late. I don't think Russia or China will intervene militarily at all. But what is to prevent Russia and China from giving military supplies and rejuvenating, rebuilding Iran's deterrence over the next couple of months and years? They could then repay America back, NATO back in the same coin by engaging them in open-ended wars and conflicts. We are living through extremely dangerous times. Thank you.